A quiet stretch of Iran's southern coastline becomes the stage for a moment that few outside the country are aware is even happening. The night sky is clear, the sea calm, and the only sounds are waves brushing against the rocks. Hidden among natural formations, a low-profile launcher sits almost invisible in the darkness. Technicians wearing dark military uniforms move with disciplined silence, checking final systems and waiting for the command to activate. There is no rush, no dramatic countdown, just quiet confidence. When the signal finally arrives, the missile rises slowly, not with a blazing roar like traditional ballistic tests, but with a controlled, almost ghost-like movement. Its engine produces minimal flame, its trajectory intentionally low, designed to slip under radar and avoid long-range detection. For years, foreign intelligence analysts speculated whether Iran was developing something resembling a Tomahawk-style cruise missile. Tonight, that speculation is no longer theory. The missile bends toward the sea, hugging the water at low altitude, guided by systems that are carefully monitored from a nearby mobile command station. Engineers watch screens that track the missile's course, ensuring it stays hidden in the radar shadow created by the curvature of the Earth. This tactic is not new in modern warfare, but it is new for a nation long considered limited in long-range precision cruise capability. The scene carries no loud speeches, no celebratory broadcasts, only a quiet moment of confirmation. Commanders exchange brief nods, aware of the strategic weight of what just took place. The missile glides further into the night, silently carving a path that may redefine regional military calculations. What leaves the coastline unnoticed will soon make noise across intelligence centers around the world, even though here, on this isolated shore, the night remains calm and silent. Inside a Western intelligence monitoring center, analysts sit in front of glowing screens, following routine satellite sweeps over the Gulf. Most nights are predictable, filled with repetitive patterns and familiar signatures, but tonight something unusual appears on the infrared view. A heat plume rises from the Iranian coastline, but the visual characteristics don't match a ballistic launch. There is no steep arc, no rapid climb, just a faint mark moving horizontally and dangerously low. Analysts zoom in, replaying the feed frame by frame, trying to classify what they're watching. The room grows quieter as more eyes turn toward the central display. Someone points out that the missile's path resembles sea skimming behavior, something only advanced cruise systems are capable of. Another analyst compares the track with archived footage of American Tomahawk launches, noting uncomfortable similarities. Phones start ringing, supervisors are called from nearby offices, and a briefing window opens on secure communication lines. The missile continues moving at low altitude, hugging terrain in a way that suggests precision guidance combined with radar avoidance technology. This isn't a coincidental test of an old system, this looks like something new. The analytical tone of the room shifts from uncertainty to alarm. Discussions become rapid. Range estimates, possible targets, suspected navigation systems, and whether satellite navigation or digital terrain mapping might be involved. As more data arrives, the realization becomes impossible to ignore. Iran has just demonstrated a capability that many believed it lacked. The potential impact on regional power balance becomes the immediate concern. Questions circulate. How far can it travel? Is this operational or experimental? Could this slip through existing missile defense networks? What began as a quiet night suddenly turns into an emergency evaluation. The satellite image continues tracking a faint moving shape, and with every passing kilometer, the strategic map of the Middle East feels like it is quietly being rewritten. In Washington, the clock has already passed midnight when a secure line begins flashing inside a Pentagon communications room. Senior defense officials are urgently requested to join a classified briefing, some still in their offices, others called from home. Within minutes, a small group gathers around a long table, facing a digital display showing satellite imagery and trajectory maps. At first, the details appear vague, but the tone from intelligence officers leaves little doubt. What Iran launched was not a traditional ballistic missile, it was a low-altitude, radar-evading cruise missile, something far closer to the American Tomahawk than previously acknowledged. The room grows tense as a technical officer explains how the missile hugged the coastline and then dropped to sea-skimming altitude, a tactic designed to evade most conventional missile detection systems. The idea that Iran could field such a system was long debated, but rarely confirmed. Tonight, confirmation seems unavoidable. Questions start filling the room. What was the estimated range? Could it strike naval assets in the Gulf without early warning? How accurate might the guidance be? Officials know that even without exact answers, this development changes calculations. A senior advisor quietly suggests that regional allies will demand immediate reassurance and updated defense commitments. Another warns that if Iran can build and deploy such a missile, the cost of interception in regional defense just rose dramatically. What worries them most is not the launch itself, but the calm, controlled nature of it. No propaganda broadcast, no provocative announcement. That silence signals confidence, and confidence signals capability. Before the briefing ends, secure Iranian media releases only a short and carefully worded statement early the next morning, noting that a successful long-range precision test has taken place somewhere along the southern coast. There are no celebratory videos, no dramatic music, and no sweeping claims of new dominance. The announcement feels almost understated, but that understatement is exactly what makes foreign analysts uneasy. Countries that exaggerate aren't usually this quiet. Silence often means confidence. International news outlets replay the brief clip of a spokesperson standing behind a podium, calmly confirming the test without offering technical data, range information, or even the type of missile involved. Behind the scenes in Tehran, senior military officials are satisfied that the demonstration sent exactly the message intended: we can do this, and we don't need to shout about it. Defense engineers review flight logs, guidance performance, and telemetry data, noting that the missile maintained low altitude for nearly the entire route. The absence of public detail becomes its own form of messaging. Military analysts across the world begin comparing the announcement with the faint signatures detected by satellites, piecing together what Iran isn't saying directly. Online defense forums and intelligence watchers begin speculating about digital terrain mapping, precision guidance systems, and whether the missile may be part of a larger family of cruise weapons under development. Some believe Iran tested the missile years ago in small numbers and is only now confident enough to quietly acknowledge it. Others suggest there could be naval or mobile variants already prepared. Inside Iran, the public reaction remains minimal, partly because the government chooses not to sensationalize the test. But beyond Iran's borders, newsrooms, military planners, and security analysts are suddenly wide awake, trying to understand just how far this new capability might reach, and how long Iran has been preparing for this moment while the world looked elsewhere. Messages are already being drafted to NATO partners and critical allies. Overnight shifts in intelligence units prepare extended monitoring orders. The P-East. Across defense think tanks stretching from Brussels to Tel Aviv, senior strategists gather around illuminated maps showing the Middle East and surrounding maritime corridors. Red lines mark potential missile flight paths extending far beyond Iran's borders, across the Persian Gulf, deep into the Arabian Peninsula, and in some assessments even reaching parts of Europe. The launch itself might have been silent, but the implications echo loudly. Experts discuss what a modern, low-altitude cruise missile means for regional deterrence, especially one capable of evading the radar systems traditionally designed to stop ballistic threats. Existing defenses were built for missiles that travel high and fast, not low and quiet. The possibility that Iranian missiles could slip underneath traditional detection networks poses a challenge no one can ignore. Strategists debate whether this development reshapes naval operations in the Gulf, particularly for American or Allied vessels that rely heavily on early warning. If Iran can field multiple launch platforms, mobile, coastal, or even naval, the strategic equation becomes more complicated. Suddenly, long-discussed hypothetical scenarios feel very real. The question turns from if Iran possesses this technology to how many, how accurate, and how quickly they could be deployed in a real conflict. Military analysts study Iran's pattern of incremental development, noting how Tehran often advances quietly, revealing capabilities only when they are already operational. Some experts argue that the test was a message aimed at deterrence rather than escalation, while others warn that it could encourage neighboring states to seek similar precision systems, potentially igniting a new arms race centered around cruise missile technology rather than ballistic stockpiles. As discussions continue, one conclusion becomes common across the room: the regional balance has shifted in ways that will demand new strategies, new defenses, and perhaps a new understanding of what modern warfare